So these were the results from our warm-up. We talked about slopes of parallel lines are the same. Slopes of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocal. To write a parallel equation, you just change the b, the y-intercept. To write a perpendicular equation, you do two changes to the slope. You change the sign, you flip the fraction. The y-intercept can or cannot change. It's up to you. And then, last but not least, number 5, when you graph the b first. Okay? Now, the notes for today look like this. It says point slope notes. Okay? We should be able to get through this fairly quickly. Okay? So that first blank, we want to know what is point slope form. You may or may not remember it from Algebra 1, and the equation for point slope form is going to be, let's write it down, y, and actually let's write it down in a fancy color here. Let's go with red. Okay, so y equals m x minus x1 plus y1. This point slope formula is a little bit different than maybe the one you learned. Okay, there's a different variation of this, but this one's, in my opinion, a little bit better because it's already y equals. So this is the one we're going to use for this unit. Y equals m parentheses x minus x1 plus y1. Okay. Now, point slope formula is used when you are given what and what. So what kind of formula is this? Point slope. So what two things do you need? A point and a slope. Doesn't that make a lot of sense? Bet, right? Exactly. So, since we're all awake, enjoying life with our heads up. So, for point slope formula, you need a point, you need a slope. So look at number 1. Do we have a point? Yep. Do we have a slope? Yep. We're just going to plug stuff in and then simplify. So let's do that. Y equals, and up here it says it's supposed to be m. What's my m? 5. So go ahead and write 5. And then up here it says parentheses x minus, and x1 is a number. Okay, so if you look over here, this is x1, this is y1. So my x1 is -2, right? So I'm going to write -2, parentheses, like it says right here, and then I'm going to add plus, and then I need y1. So over here is my y1. It's going to be 3. So does everyone see how all I did was I replaced m, x1, and y1? Okay? So the only other thing you need to do is distribute. Now real quick, everyone knows that this minus a -2 is the same thing as +2. When I was in high school, that's what I would do. If I saw a minus negative sign, I'd just draw a big plus sign over it. But we still need to distribute 5, okay? So 5 times x is what? 5x. 5 times 2 is? It's a +2, so 5 times +2 is 10. Bring down +3. And bring down y equals. What's my last step? What do you see I need to do on the right side there? Okay, combine like terms. So the 10 and the 3 make 13. So it's going to be y equals 5x plus 13. That's it for point slope formula. If you're given a point and a slope, that's your formula at the top. And you just plug it in, distribute, combine like terms. Let's try another one on number 2. Okay, I have a slope. I have a point. We'll go blue on this one. I got a slope. I got a point. So I'm going to do the same equation. Y equals m. What's my m? -2. Parentheses. X minus. And what's my x1? 5. So put a 5 there. Parentheses. Plus, and my y1 is negative 1. Does everyone see how I'm just filling in what I know into my formula? And we're wide awake, and we're writing this down, please. So, remember, my next step up here on number 1 was to distribute. So negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 5. Negative times negative, we get positive 10. And then bring down plus negative 1. Or you could write it as just minus 1. It means the same thing. And bring down your y equals. Your last step is these constants need to combine. So 10 minus 1 is 9, right? So I bring down everything, but these two combine to make a positive 9. Negative 2x plus 9. Okay? So, again, everyone's getting this down. So, that's if you're given a point and you're given a slope. Now, I'm telling you, on your test next Wednesday, you're going to have to do something like 3 and 4. Okay? So, on number 3, it gives you a point, right? But if you read it, write an equation for the line that passes through the point, 4, negative 6, and is parallel to the line represented by this equation. Now, it doesn't say m equals. It doesn't say, here's your slope. But I know parallel lines have what type of slopes? No. What? They're the same, okay? So here's the deal. If I know this equation slope, parallel will have the same slope. So what is the slope I'm talking about here? 1/2. Okay? 1/2. Does everyone see why that is? Parallel means same slope. So now I have a slope, and I got a point. Using my point and my slope, I'm going to use point-slope formula. I'm going to rewrite it right here just to remember it. mx minus x1 plus y1. So let's write it down. My m is, over here it says 1/2. Fractions are weird, but we can do it. Parentheses, everyone's writing this down? X, and then minus, what's my x1? 4. Parentheses, plus, and my y1 is negative 6. Okay? So this is going to be a little weird, but we can distribute the fraction. Okay? So everyone follow with me. This might seem tough, but we can do it. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. So when you multiply a fraction times x, just put it in front. However, 1/2 times negative 4, okay, think of that 1/2 meaning dividing by 2. What is negative 4 divided by 2? Not just 2, but negative or minus 2. Okay? Now, if you were like, how'd you get that? You could go to your calculator and do 1/2 times negative 4. So showing you by using your calculator. Okay? You go to add calculator and you do 1 divided by 2 times negative 4. You get negative 2. Okay? So, even in the calculator, it can help you bring down plus negative 6, which is minus 6. And your last step is to combine those like terms. So y equals 1/2 x, and then negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8. If you're wondering how I did that so fast, well, hopefully you have those skills to do that in your mind or, mental math. But if not, use your calculator. Negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8. Okay? We write it as minus 8. Now, 4 is the hardest one. So I want everyone, if you've been sleeping, dozing off, thinking about, fidget spinners, I want you to focus on number 4, all right? Because this is the one most people are going to miss, all right? Write an equation for the line that passes through the point. So we got the same thing. We got a point, but this time it says, and is what? Perpendicular! Okay? Y'all know perpendicular is not parallel? Okay, they're different. So perpendicular to this equation. Now, what's the slope of this equation? 3. So I write that as 3 over 1, right? So the fraction for the slope is 3 over 1. But I'm supposed to have it perpendicular. So y'all tell me, what are the two changes you do to the slope for perpendicular? Okay, I change the sign, positive, negative changes, and then I take the fraction and I flip it, right? Like a sick kickflip, bro. Catching an ollie or something, right? So, but seriously, if I have positive 3 over 1, it becomes negative 1 over 3. So what's the most common error I'm going to see is people using 3 over 1. Because they assume it's going to be the same as number 3. So I cannot stress perpendicular enough. Maybe I can if I use a rainbow pen. Perpendicular, okay? Are y'all saying that word? Very important word, all right? But in all seriousness, let's take that point and our new slope and use point-slope formula, okay? Here we go. So y equals, my m we just said is negative 1 over 3. And then parentheses x minus, my x value is negative 3. Parentheses plus my y value, negative 1. Okay, so that's setting it up. I know that can seem difficult. Let's do piece by piece. In the parentheses, minus a negative, I'm going to change that to a plus sign because minus negative is like addition. Now I need to distribute negative 1/3. You can do it. Negative 1/3 times x is negative 1/3 x. Not too bad. But this next one, negative 1/3 times 3, if you're not sure, calculator's your friend. Negative 1 divided by 3, negative 1/3 times 3. Negative 1. Not too bad. So I'm going to write a minus 1. And then I'm going to bring down this other plus negative 1, bring it down as another minus 1. And then your last step, combine those like terms. Y equals negative 1/3 x. Negative 1 minus 1 is minus 2. Okay? So, I kept the notes straightforward. 1 and 2. If you're given simply a point and a slope, just plug it in, distribute, and simplify. But I'm telling you, you're going to see stuff like 3 and 4. So if it says, right, parallel, use the same slope. If it says perpendicular, change the sign and flip the slope and use that one. Okay? So these notes, you can't lose them. You're going to apply them on the assignment tomorrow. And we're going to have, on the back of the assignment, it's going to be like a review for the quiz we're going to have on Monday. Yes, the quiz we're going to have on Monday over this stuff. So, keep the notes. If you haven't finished the assignment we were working on today with Woodstock, the Charlie Brown character on it, you got to finish that. You might have some time tomorrow in class, but I'd love for you to finish at home. It's possible to do it, okay? So, those are the notes for today, and bed.